My name is Anna. I'm 33, and I have what most people would call a good life. A beautiful home in a quiet neighborhood. A gentle, intelligent husband who makes me laugh and always brings me tea before bed. 2 kids who are kind, loud, and perfect in the ways that make life just messy enough to feel real. And yet, every now and then, when the house is still and the world outside is quiet, I wonder if I chose this life, or if I ran toward it to escape something else. I married Nathan 4 years ago. He was everything I thought I needed.
Kind, safe, constant.
The kind of man who never forgets your favorite wine, or the story you told him 3 days ago in passing. He didn't sweep me off my feet. He held them steady. I remember how my mother smiled at him when they first met. How my friends said, "He's such a grown-up. He'll take care of you." And I believed them. After everything I'd been through, I didn't want chaos anymore. I didn't want passion that left me in ruins. I wanted peace. And Nathan gave me that beautifully, effortlessly. But peace can be quiet, and quiet can be hollow. Sometimes, in the middle of dinner, while Nathan tells me about his day, I drift. I remember a different voice, a different smile, a different kind of fire that once burned so hot it left scars I can still trace in the dark. His name was Leo, and I never truly told Nathan about him. Not because I was hiding something, but because even saying his name out loud might reopen doors I had locked for a reason. I thought Leo was gone, a lesson, not a person, a memory that would fade with time. But I was wrong. It started with a message I almost deleted. I was cleaning out my inbox on a Tuesday morning. Nathan had already left for work. The kids were in school. I had a warm cup of coffee, a quiet kitchen, and a long to-do list. Somewhere between an ad for baby shoes and a reminder from our dentist, there it was.
Hey,
Didn't expect to find your name again. Hope you're well.
Leo.
I stared at it. My stomach flipped, not violently, but like a memory that had been sleeping too long and woke up confused.
Leo.
I hadn't heard from him in 6 years. Not since the night I left without looking back. I didn't reply. Not at first. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. About how he used to say my name like it meant something. About how our love was a wildfire, destructive, beautiful, unforgettable. He had hurt me, deeply. And yet, I had loved him harder than I thought I was capable of. Nathan had helped me heal. But Leo had made me feel alive, in ways that scared me, thrilled me, and broke me. That night, I found myself scrolling through his old messages. The ones I hadn't deleted. The ones I swore I'd never read again. And then I replied,
Hi. I didn't expect this.
I'm good. Life's good. We started talking again. Not often. Not romantically. At least, not at first. Just updates. Surface level. He was back in city. A new job. Still not married. He said, I saw a woman in the market the other day who looked just like you. Same eyes. But she didn't have your laugh. I didn't know how to respond to that. So I didn't. The next week he asked if I wanted to grab a coffee. Just to catch up. I stared at the screen for a long time. I told myself it was harmless. That people change. That I was older now, stronger, grounded. One coffee. I typed. Nothing more. He replied with a single word. Always. We met at a small cafe on the east side. The kind with exposed brick, soft music, and too many memories. When I walked in, he stood up. Same eyes. Same crooked smile. But something had changed. He looked settled.
Calmer.
But when he said, Hi, Anna, my chest tightened, like my body remembered things my mind had tried to forget. We talked for an hour. Nothing dangerous. No confessions. No touching. But it was there. Under the words. In the pauses. In the way he looked at me like I was still his. And I let him. That night, Nathan asked if everything was okay. I said,
Yeah.
Just tired. But I wasn't. I was awake in a way I hadn't been in years. And that terrified me. It wasn't just the coffee. It was the way I smiled when his name popped up on my screen. The way I checked my reflection before leaving the house. The way I lingered on old memories like they were stories I didn't quite survive, but missed anyway. Leo had returned like a quiet echo. Not loud, not forceful, just there, always waiting at the edges of my mind. We started texting more often. Little things. Inside jokes. Late night, you still awake? Messages that felt harmless at first. I told myself it was nothing. Nathan had never given me a reason to stray. He was still the man who rubbed my back when I had headaches, who left me sticky notes on the fridge with dumb little hearts. But when he kissed me now, I felt myself hesitate. Not because I didn't love him, but because I was starting to feel like I no longer deserved him. One evening, I told Leo, the first missed our long drives. He said, "Let's take one. Just one." And I agreed. We didn't go far. Just outside the city, through winding hills and trees that looked like they'd been keeping secrets longer than we'd been alive. He played the same playlist we used to listen to. I remembered every lyric. Every beat felt like a bruise being pressed, tender, familiar. "You were the only person who ever made me feel like I wasn't broken," he said softly. I turned to him, but I didn't respond, because he had also been the one who broke me. And yet here I was. When he dropped me off, he didn't kiss me, didn't touch me, but he didn't have to. It had already happened, not physically, but in the way I'd let him back in the way I was starting to measure every part of my current life against what we once had. That night, Nathan made dinner. The kids were loud. The kitchen was warm, and I sat there in the middle of it all, feeling like a stranger in my own home. He caught me staring off and smiled. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, I'm just thinking." He didn't ask what about. He trusted me, and that made it worse. I was living in 2 rooms now, one filled with softness and stability, the other with fire and memory. And I knew that I couldn't stay in both much longer. But I didn't know how to leave either one. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 4, the ending, where Anna finally faces the truth, but still can't find the answer she desperately needs? Go next.
ChatGPT.
Absolutely. Here is Chapter 4, the final chapter of Anna's story. It doesn't end with a clean resolution. Instead, it lingers in that uncomfortable, emotional middle ground, where love is real, but divided, where choices are needed, but clarity never comes. I wish I could tell you I made a decision, that I woke up one day, chose a path, closed the door behind me, and walked forward with grace and certainty. But real life doesn't work that way, especially when your heart is caught between 2 truths. Leo asked me to meet him again. He didn't push. He never begged. But in the softest voice, he said, "Tell me you don't feel it too, and I'll disappear." I didn't answer. Not because I didn't feel it, but because I did. I stood there in silence, listening to the sound of my own breath, wondering how love could be so full in 2 completely different places. Nathan's love wrapped around me like a blanket, safe, familiar, always there. Leo's love was a spark in a dark room, dangerous, addictive,
Bright.
One held me steady, the other made me feel weightless. And I loved them both, but in ways I didn't know how to compare. That night, I sat alone on the couch. The house was dark. Nathan had gone to bed early. He kissed my temple and said, "Don't stay up too late." I said, "I won't." But I did. I stared at my phone. Leo hadn't messaged again. He was waiting for a sign, a word, a decision. And I had none to give. I thought of what it would mean to stay, to keep living the life I'd built, the one full of comfort and goodness, the one where nothing burned, but nothing sparked either. And I thought of what it would mean to leave, to chase something I once had, maybe still had, but that came with chaos, with risk, with no guarantees. Both choices felt like betrayal. Both choices felt like loss. I closed my eyes, and in the quiet, I heard a voice, my own, whisper something I didn't want to admit. I don't know who I am without both of them. And maybe that was the truth I'd been running from all along. I haven't made a decision yet. Not really. Every day I wake up, pour my coffee, kiss my husband, and pretend I'm not thinking of someone else. Every night I lie in bed, next to the man who trusts me completely, and wonder how I became the woman who broke her own heart. I love them both. Differently. Dangerously. And now, I don't know where I belong.